Russia by Holly, Rena, and Monica. Russia is located on the continent of Europe. Russia is 144 meters above sea level. It's the largest country on Earth. It has 11 different time zones. And it also borders 14 other countries. Languages in Russia. Russian is the main language. The languages are also spoken in Russia are the Ukraine, German, Greek. In 2000, Russia had about 100 different languages belonging to the family of Indo-European languages. The Russian language history. Russian language emerged from the Slavic languages. The dialects were formed so Russia could understandably to all tribes. The dialect was from the Polynesians, based on the Old Russian literary language. And the Slavic alphabet was invented in the 9th century. Why Russian is the main language? Well, like I already said, it really is because of the culture that drives the force of the Russian language. In the Soviet era, cities were closed off. Today, these cities cannot be entered without special passes. Tourists occasionally manage to make it inside, but the entire country of Russia is very close-knit. They take a lot of pride in belonging to part of the family in the history. The culture of the language as rating high context. Most families live in very small apartments, often 2 to 3 generations. Space is very little. A lot of times the apartments are very run down. There's 1.9 million Russians living below the poverty line, and the subculture groups don't have much hope for the future. And the Russian people just seem to accept that. The Russian communication is very high context. Russian regional differences in the language. As you can see, there's not much difference too much between the northern and southern when it comes to the sounds of the letters. Southern Russian seems to be where the biggest differences lie. As you can see in northern Russia, they pronounce the G sound the same. And also in northern and standard Russian, the F and the T are both pronounced the same way. Related cultural norms with the language and communication. Russian follows more clear, defined hierarchy, such as the managers will lead the lower employees. Russians prefer face-to-face, not a fax. I thought that was a very interesting fact. As you can see, here's the Russian alphabet. As you can see, many of the letters are very similar to the US letters. Some of them look like the US except upside down. Describe the script for the Russian language. Letters use Cyrillic script, and the alphabet consists of 33 letters. Okay, I'm going to give this my best shot. Hello in Russia is Piver. Goodbye in Russia is Do Sava. Please is Pushna. Thank you is Sprivar. Nice to meet you in Russia is Yakaza. And do you speak English is Vira Tisha. Give it my best shot, but I can say yes in Russian perfect. Is da. These are some common phrases in the Russian language. Goodbye is da sha. Good afternoon is do bei shin. verbals and nonverbals, do's and taboos in the language. Eye contact during introduction is very important and must maintain as long as the individual is addressing you. Speaking and laughing loudly in public is discouraged. Wearing your boots or winter boots in theaters, office buildings, similar public spaces is considered unacceptable. Hofstadter's value dimensions. The power distance in Russia is 93%, as you can see, compared to the US is only 40%, of course. I would suspect that. Masculinity in the United States is at 62%, where in Russia is only 36%. And uncertainty avoidance in America, that's a harder concept for us to comprehend. We don't accept it. We only rate a 46, where, of course, in Russia, they seem to accept it. It's 95%. They seem to understand that they can't. They seem to just accept that they can't change much of their own future. And intelligence, Russia is at 20%, even though they're very high in history knowledge. The educational system is lacking. And in the United States, we rate 68%. Assumptions and perspectives about Russians in the U.S. All Russians are alcoholic. Russians are all communists. A variety of Russian political parties and non-communist parties. It shouldn't be evident that they're all communists. Russians hate America, and they still seem to be fond overall. The differences for only English speakers in Russia. Some homework should be done beforehand, like making a list of sites you want to visit using Google Maps. English is a global language, so in cities like Moscow, you'd probably be fine. But traveling, outside of a major city, you're going to run into a lot of problems. So pre-planning your trip to make it run more smoothly would be the best. Other important aspects. Visitors should try to speak in a calm, moderate tone voice at all times. Bring up the subject of the Russian culture. History can be appreciated by gesture. Russians are extremely educated, so don't be surprised if they don't start to talk about history. More fun facts I found out as I was doing my research is they're the world's largest exporter of natural gas. $500,000 alcoholic-related deaths in Russia every year. I even read a story about how one of their government officials was here in Washington, D.C. on public official business, and he had one too many drinks and ended up outside the hotel in just his underpants. So that country definitely could benefit from the new technology that they're going to be coming out with when they, I think it's called Atribuse, that they give to alcoholics so they don't crave drinking so much. But now they're going to be implanting the seeds in the body, similar to how they do cancer treatments when they implant the radiation seeds. I never realized that I knew Russia had a high alcohol problem, but during my reading for this project, I didn't realize that they had such an abundance of people passing away every year from alcohol-related deaths. And also, only 22% of the country is covered by trees. Thank you. Hope you enjoyed our presentation.